Bada bing, bada boom, bada bam. Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast, episode 106. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy, Omazis.
Man, how's it going? So the summer is... I don't want to say it's officially over, because it's still kind of hot. But I think on paper... how many more weeks of this do we got before? Like, when is SummerSlam? Isn't SummerSlam like right before the summer is over?
No, I think SummerSlam already happened.
It happened, right? But I forgot. I don't know how that works. I just know they say the last day of summer is like sometime in the middle or the end of August, and then boom, it's the fall. I don't know.
Yep. That's how it feels. Last day of summer is technically September 22nd. But okay. Let's be real, everything restarts up like 2 weeks for most people.
Yeah.
I consider summer over when like regular schools go back. So
yeah. Well, the weather is still the way it is, and we're getting ready to enter in the season of back-to-back video games from a lot of different companies. And so that's an exciting time for a lot of people.
I am like waiting for Astrobot. Like that is like the main thing I am waiting for right now. It's just I just really want that game. I don't know why, but that's the one I want the most.
Yeah, I think that one is set to come out September 6th. So it's right around the corner.
And I'm buying it day one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy it around that time too. And I believe just before that, we're looking at Black Myth Wukong and I guess the Star Wars Outlaws, and I'll get into that in a second. But I could leave that in the intro because this ain't really gonna be that long. So Star Wars Outlaws, what I'm finding out is that game will be around 65 gigs as far as its space, somewhere in that ballpark for a lot of the systems. Now, Black Myth Wukong, however, is throwing his tail on the table. I'm gonna say tail and not the other. But it's that bad boy is about to be 130 gigs. So They are coming with all the graphics, everything, all the bells and whistles. Yeah,
and like so you playing this, so you can delete Call of Duty.
Yeah, and so I'm in a very I'm in a tough spot here because both games are coming out at the end of August, and I have one that was gifted to me because of the PC, and then the other one, Black Myth Wukong, is the one that I'm going to buy. But I'm in one of those situations where maybe somebody out there can relate, where I can only install one, basically. And I had every intentions on installing Star Wars to review it and stuff. I remember saying that a couple times. And then Black Myth Wukong. I could probably like push one out into September. People probably wonder like what's going on. I got data caps, and I gotta like really. I'm annoyed by it. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm gonna actually look at other internet providers at some point. Now I'm like right in my business right in the beginning of the thing, but. Yeah, it's just like if I push one back to September, well, now it gets in the way of like Astro, and I thought maybe I would just install that probably in December, because I remember when I had first got the system, the PS5, I played the demo for that in December around Christmas time. It was really fun. It was pretty cool. And so I might end up just doing that. But yeah, there's a lot of cool games coming out. My main ones is those three, and then. I guess I can mention now because I was going to mention it around the Epic Games part, but I did buy Luigi's Mansion, the Switch version of Part 2, Luigi's Mansion Part 2, and I believe I used the GameStop discount for it along with like this other discount that I had. So I chopped the price down. I'm not sure what I will buy from GameStop in September, because Black Myth Wukong is all digital as of right now. And I'm not sure I think it will have a physical release at some point. I think they're going to follow in the same footsteps as Alan Wake 2, which a lot of people did not like the way that they did that, but I think they might do this too. And I think we're going to see a pattern of that with a lot of games because they're trying to figure out ways to make more money and find an excuse to re-release games just to make it look like it's new. And I think this is what they're doing because they can't do the PS4, PS5 upgrade thing no more. We're kind of past that. But yeah, intro long enough. Tell me what's going on with what's up with the Outer Worlds thing. Let's just knock that out.
So we got a real quick update from Obsidian CEO saying that development is progressing well. Which to be honest right now is all I really needed. They had dropped a teaser a while ago where they made like kind of a fake trailer that a voiceover kind of just talked about the generic things that happen in a trailer, and then was mentioning how they're not going to really show anything because they don't have anything yet. But they just want you to know the game's coming, and then they went silent. But it turns out they have their full team working on this game, really developing, coming along, and everything seems to be going well as of now. So that is great to hear when so many things get like canceled and stuff. And I don't need to rush it out. I want it to be great. The first one was very like involved. Lots of worlds to go to, like a very full, interesting story. So I hope this one's even bigger. But it was a really good like space adventure game if you haven't played it. It's Fallout in space. Or for those that aren't really super familiar with the Fallout series for whatever reason, Skyrim, kind of, in space. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this game.
Okay. That's funny because I think that's an Xbox game, right? So that kind of goes into that might transition to what I want to talk about because what I want to talk about for my topic this week, this is really my only topic, but I'm a really just address the Xbox news because part of this news is in rumor territory, and you know how I feel about the rumors, especially with Xbox. But there's one part of this that's actually fact, which I think is pretty interesting. So I'm gonna get right into it. So if we rewind a bit, we remember that the studio Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush being the star of that studio in recent gaming, recent gaming pickups and everything, that studio was shut down by Xbox and all of its IPs and everything or whatever, right? Well, apparently, even though it was initially shut down, Xbox has made the decision to, instead of shutting this down, they've decided to sell this to Crafton, I believe is the name. And so Tango Gameworks is back and is no longer a Microsoft product, basically. I don't know. I don't understand what that's about, but they did that. It just seems odd because I didn't even know how that works. Because my understanding for months, the people who worked there were no longer employed. So I don't know. I don't know the details, but that's basically what happened. And so I don't know if you tell people come back to work. I don't know what it does. But they're a studio again. I don't know all the details as if they have any of the IP. Maybe the IP is still a part of Microsoft. I'm not sure. Because Hi-Fi Rush and other games are still actually a part of Game Pass. That none of that was ever removed. So maybe they just gave them the developing team or whatever. And so that's actually real. I don't understand the details because it's, I don't know how you go to work and then you get fired and then now you get your job. I don't know. Maybe some of them moving on because they probably have found something else, or maybe a lot of people came back. I don't know the details, but it seemed like there was a few months because if I remember correctly, when we mentioned them closing that studio down, that was a while ago. That was about at least 2-3 months ago. So I don't know how that works. But as a brand, Tango Gameworks is back and it's under another entity. So that's the thing.
That's cool.
You have any thoughts on that?
So it looks like they're under Crafton. I don't know if you mentioned that. You know what? I'm okay with it. So it seems like this group was passionate about their stuff, got bought, and they were still like their own group. And then it was like, sorry, you're all fired. I let them go. So I wouldn't have been surprised if they all got together to make their own new studio, anyways. And then because this other company bought it, it's like, well, now you don't need to come up with a new name. Like,
maybe
you're good. Keep your stuff. Like, that's how I'm taking it. Because they always say like, formerly like the developers of this company, and now they have a whole new name, and I'm taking it as that. Like, they get to now keep their name. And it looks like because they keep their name, they keep their IPs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it looks like that stuff was under Tango Gameworks, and because they're still Tango Gameworks, they get to keep it. So it's still theirs. I'm sure like it's like a joint, like Xbox still gets some of the monetization from it, but
yeah, I mean we'll figure out what the the dots and the crossing the T's, dotting the I's is about that. Because
hey, if they get to keep making their games, awesome.
Yeah, I just wonder if like all of a sudden those games are like no longer going to be on Xbox as far as the Game Pass, which would be a whole nother can of worms to open up in itself, because the people, the customer were promised a certain thing, and imagine the idea of IPs that's supposed to be exclusive, at least on paper, or at least like these are your IPs, they should never leave Game Pass, all of a sudden leaving Game Pass. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if too much more details is going to come from that, but yeah, that was like part one of the two of from my topic for this. So this is going to go by real fast because this is kind of funny, because the other topic is the rumor of this. And like I've said plenty of times before, I do not like to really speak on the rumors, and I was annoyed with the source of the other rumors with the Xbox and like everything. They thought like Starfield and everything was going to be coming. So the rumor apparently is coming from that same source, who should not be mentioned, but apparently, so for people to remember, Gamescom is next week. Apparently, I think that's on the 20th or something. It's next week, right? So we will probably cover it, and there'll be some cool stuff there. But Gamescom, apparently the rumor is Xbox is supposed to announce that Forza is going to be coming to PlayStation at Gamescom. And I don't really believe this at all. We don't really have enough time for this to really gain legs and a lot of people to really run with it, but because they're giving it a week, right? So if it happens, we'll probably talk about it then. But Forza, they're referring to Forza Horizon 5, which was the 2022 release, I believe. For Xbox, it was in the holiday season. I want to say it was November or December, or November. I think it was November when that was released.
Something like that, yeah.
And so people say this is probably coming to PlayStation next week, and that's the rumor. It's already a Xbox and PC platform game. I wouldn't believe it for a second that it would be on Nintendo. But if it was, I wouldn't play that version. But yeah, they're saying that it might be coming to PlayStation, as in PlayStation 5. I don't really believe this, but I do want to mention that because I kind of get annoyed with these rumors, but I'm really over it at this point. I just want to address, let's hypothetically say this is true, right? I think the best thing to say for Microsoft and Xbox, which you would think that they already would have learned this lesson with Hi-Fi Rush and some of the other games, you're not going to make the big money in the long run, chasing the small money in the short run. And you would think a company like Microsoft would know that. But I think this is another one of those, we need to make a little bit extra money in the short run off of an IP, but it's going to be detrimental for the brand in the long run. There's no way for me to believe otherwise, but that's kind of my take on it. I'll let you speak and I'll say a couple more things about it. But yeah.
So yeah, you would think they would think that way, but it seems like every company is only looking for short monetary gain right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's interesting. I feel like, if you're like, oh, it's about to drop next week, I doubt that's something that would be a surprise drop. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, I don't know, like the only thing I can think of is it just seems like racing games aren't really taking off on the PlayStation. Like their versions of stuff doesn't seem to be doing so great. So
Yeah,
if
Gran
this was
Turismo
just
7 didn't really, it didn't do so good.
no,
Yeah.
but Forza, does fantastic. So if this is just a move to like start, I guess, increase the hype of racing games. Like I don't know how well Forza sold.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is like if this move helps with making more racing games in the future, sure. I don't really care either way.
Forza
But I
did
don't think
okay in
it'll
the
help.
beginning. I think
Okay.
they had like 10 million players or something in a few months. It was a pretty big deal for Forza. I think
Okay.
it like Halo is the bigger name
Yeah.
in comparison, and more people were trying to talk about how bad Halo was at the time because
And
I
how
believe
good.
Halo Infinite came out like within weeks of this, and
Okay.
Halo Infinite was the talk of the internet about the negativity around it, and it made people ignore the positive of Forza.
Okay.
Basically, because and you can remember that timeline, right? That wasn't really that long
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
Everybody was like, "Yeah, Halo ain't got
Oh yeah.
multiplayer." They
All the
don't,
constant
or
images and all that good stuff.
yeah, I think it was the
Uh
co-op thing and all of that.
huh.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I don't know. See, that's it's a weird sentence, and I don't want to like upset anybody.
Hmm.
So I don't mean this in a bad way that I say like I don't think Forza necessarily, and I could be completely wrong because I haven't looked at the numbers and I don't have an Xbox, but I don't think
Hmm.
Forza is like a system seller. So I feel like the exclusives that say like I don't feel like anybody like went out to buy an Xbox specifically only to play Forza in the same way people would buy an Xbox to play Halo.
I think
Um,
it's a double-edged sword there because I believe the IP. So before this last 2 years, everyone would say Halo. They would say Xbox is Halo, Gears, and Forza. Like
okay,
that's the
okay.
trifecta. So
Well, then in that case, with that being said, putting your games on other platforms is just not going to do anything for your system. Like if because like
yeah,
I was going to say that like when it's not really your main IP and everything that people are like buying the console for, if it ends up elsewhere, that to me I look at that as just increasing the sales for the game because it's already ran stagnant on your console. So you're just
yeah,
making sure you can get a sequel to the game. But if this is your like, we're not gonna have to worry about. And I'm gonna talk from a PlayStation perspective. We don't have to worry about. Oh man, God of War didn't sell well enough to justify a new one, right? Like, be able to make a
hmm,
new God of War. So there isn't a reason to sit here and put it on other platforms. If you want this to be your system seller to convince people to buy your console, and I can say Halo is probably the same way. So if Gears, Forza, and Halo are your three that like that's what your system's identified as,
yeah.
then Forza should probably be like remaining on Xbox because you're telling people if you want to play this game, come to us. And again, being a
Right.
top three, that means we can expect another Forza. I don't think the sales are hurting it to where they're gonna have to cancel Forza. So yeah, all right, I changed my stance on it. Probably shouldn't be out here with other systems, but
So I want to hit it from a few different angles. And this will make probably diehard fans on the Xbox side like turn their back on me or disagree with me, but I kind of have a bone to pick with Xbox over this. If this is true, because here's the fact, right? We'll start with the facts and then we'll go with the rumors. The fact is, they just increased the Game Pass to $20 a month for Ultimate, right? That's the fact.
Yep.
And so in the middle of increasing the price on it, you strip away one of the marquee names that's supposed to be like day one release in there where you don't have to pay anything to put on another platform. Like imagine that, like we're going to take more off of that and then we'll increase the price on you at the same time. And like we increased the price, but 1 month later, we're also going to announce one of the highest rated Xbox original games will be on the competing platform. 1 month later after increasing the price to $20. When you really think about it, because $20 is not that much to a lot of people. People, they eat that over, going out over the weekend or something, fine. But it's just the optics of it, because remember, you're still trying to increase Game Pass no matter what. No matter what their strategy is, at least to the way it looked to me, is you're still trying to increase the number on that, because that's like almost free money. It's just people giving you money to, rent the game from a database, right? And so you take the biggest one off. You know what I mean? That doesn't sit right with me, and I can go on and on about this, but I'll keep it
completely unjustifying the price increase.
Right. And
it's like they're making moves that make you go, well, then why'd you increase the price? Like, why shouldn't I? It's almost like, yeah, you're pushing away. That's
No, I'm gonna go even further. Because we gotta address the rumor from last week. I am willing to bet every dollar I own to where all my bank accounts tomorrow will be zero. I'm willing to bet that the money Forza would make from PlayStation is not going to be anywhere near the amount of money you would spend to buy WB games.
Okay.
Nowhere near it. I'm willing to bet. Which includes what? Mortal Kombat, which includes and Batman, DC. Which includes Hogwarts.
Yep.
Right? And a bunch of other ones. That was the rumor that was last week, that WB Games wants to sell and Xbox or Microsoft is the only one who has the money to buy. Nobody else has that type of money. Google is out of here. Right? I'm willing to bet that any of these games, because of course, coming from this, they're going to start saying the same stuff they were saying before. Starfield, Indiana Jones, possibly Blade. Like, it's just, we're going to run through the cycle again. But let's say some of this is true. I'm willing to bet none of them are going to sell to the point where it will make back any money you would have spent on any more acquisitions. And the next acquisition that people was talking about was WB Games. Now, that was more of a rumor in itself, and it's kind of run cold anyway. But in general, we know Microsoft wants to buy another, platform if they can. And it's like none of these games are going to give you that kind of money. You're still, like, if you were trying to dig yourself out of a hole, buying another studio or something is going to put you right back in the hole. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, that's like a mini down payment and versus paying something off in full, like a big balance or something. You know what I'm saying? Like a credit card. It's so insignificant. Yeah, I would really question that, because the optics of that doesn't even make sense from a business standpoint. Because on one end, as a gamer, why would I buy into Game Pass Ultimate, for example? But even on the back end, as an investor, why would I invest into Microsoft if you're making that type of move? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, either way you look at it, it's just like, it doesn't make a lot of business sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me as a customer, and it wouldn't make sense to me as an investor. we don't usually talk investments here, and we don't have to. But I'm just saying, like, you just looking at it, like, you would not recoup the money for another acquisition, but you're willing to give away your leverage on the games that you do have, and that money is still short-term money. But the investment, at least to the people, the investment is supposed to be Game Pass, right? It just seems like it was supposed to be. I really wished in the beginning that they put a lot more into their brand and really focused on the games that they have and stuff, instead of just saying, oh, there's so many games on Game Pass. It's like, you can only install so much, you can only play so much, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that's because I'm just a little bit more annoyed with it, but just for the sake of it being true, I can't justify buying their main product, which would be Game Pass. I say that as a person who already got it, but I'm just saying, like just in general, like, well, I don't see the point of like continuing it after like it runs out if you're just looking at this type of thing happening going forward. Because Forza, like, okay, at one point Phil Spencer was like, the first 4 games, that was it. They're not making any more promises, right? That's what they said. That was Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded, right? A lot of it was old and stuff, but quickly right after that, they did the summer showcase, and one of the games that was multi-plat for day one was Doom. Now, a lot of people didn't pay too much attention to this because Doom was already multi-plat from the get-go. Wasn't that much of a difference. But Doom is announced to be multi-plat going forward. I forgot his actual name, but the next Doom that's supposed to come out at some point, right? But you open the door for a lot of people to say they don't know they don't know the direction of Xbox, but it is understood that, like, well, if I just hold out, I'll just have it on my platform, whatever the platform is, which is typically PlayStation.
Yeah.
And so
But
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick on that point that you were making, where what was it? Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pediment, and Grounded.
Grounded, yeah.
Again, I feel like these are the 4 where I didn't mind the being thrown in the other system. These were the 4 that I considered, like, these weren't the argument of these aren't system sellers. So it would be like, in order for them to get a sequel, they need more sales. Now, unfortunately, Hi-Fi Rush, we saw they just still shut it down, even though it did really well.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, I don't think, like, without a lot of sales, we could have expected, like, a Grounded 2, right? You know what I'm saying? So I can see that. I could see the argument for those being transferred. It would be nice if it wasn't just a one-way transfer, right? Like, if there was some, like, lower-level PS5 exclusives that are popping up elsewhere. But even then, again, we called out the whole putting God of War on PC and Horizon on PC, where it's just like, no, these are supposed to be your system sellers.
Yeah.
Why are you putting them elsewhere, right? Like, put the smaller stuff elsewhere because I want them to get a sequel, because they might not have just made enough. That's where I want that. But I feel like the big stuff should probably remain exclusive if you're trying to give me Game Pass, or if you're trying to get me into whatever PlayStation Plus sort of things, even though, the big games don't pop up there. But if you're trying to get me to buy your system above the other, which we know PlayStation is all about the system, Xbox is all about the Game Pass. We're trying to, if you want me to do that stuff, you got to keep your big games where they at.
Yeah, I just scratched my head at some of their decisions, because it seemed like at one point they were fighting to get games, period. And then it looked like it went from that to they have a lot of games, or too many games that they gotta like push back a vow, right? That was the thing they said last week or a week before. But it's just like, now you have the games, and they were actually in a really good position at one point until I guess PlayStation announced like Astrobot and a couple other ones, Concord Concord is probably going to be dead on arrival, but
yeah.
at one point, it didn't look like they had games for this year though, right? And at the same time, Xbox was in prime position to be like, well, we got a bunch this year, but the rumors and everything was no, we'll just release everything on the competing platform. But what I'm not understanding from them is, how do you need to do that to get the extra money you need? But then the money you need is sitting ready to go to buy somebody else who's ever going to be in a situation where they're like hurting or something. You know what I'm saying? Because they swoop in when somebody's down. And it sounds like WB was also down. I don't know how. That might have been a rumor too, but still, like if it's not going to be them, it might be somebody else. But it's the acquisitions is like in the billions, right? It's not here's a couple $100,000 or something. It's like, no, they're in the billions. But Forza can make money. It's not going to do a billions for an acquisition though.
Yeah, and you can't be out here shutting down studios and then trying to buy more studios. I don't know. Like,
yeah, so that's another thing. Because we shut down Tango Studios and we sold them. We sold them. And you're getting ready to try to buy another one? Like that, it's just kind of it doesn't stick with me. And I'm not trying to like be somebody this isn't a fanboy rant. It's just like I have my Xbox and I have I have a 360. I did buy games before the 360 store shut down. And I plan to buy more from mom and pop stores whenever there's something I want, right? It's not about that. We're just looking at it just from like objectively from just a perspective of somebody who might want to either be on the platform as a gamer or even as an investor. I just have to ask that kind of question. It doesn't come off as a safe investment to even invest in. To me, it just doesn't. It just seems really, really odd. The behavior pattern around their decision making, because it's all over the place. I couldn't even, if I was to show like a person who's a gamer this entire like story in the past 2 years for Xbox, a lot of them will probably say, well, it sounds like you should just be patient and wait for the sale. And you would wait for the sale to be so deep that it's not even going to cost you $20, which is the asking price for Ultimate. And you're not going to play all those games on Game Pass right away anyway. So you're just going to play something here and there. You're going to wait for the sale to be less than 20. And so I don't know. I'm rambling on it. We could probably move on. I just kind of felt like I would not invest into Xbox right now in 2024.
Yeah, I get you.
If I had not like if I had the let's go back for a second. I'll end it on this. You remember when I told you I wanted to get the game systems when they were ready and available in the store, and I was never gonna want to like buy them from a bot or whatever.
Yep.
And I somehow was able to get them without having to worry about the bots. But I was like, you know, like if I had to, I would just wait because it should be available where I can just go grab my food in the grocery store, like Walmart or something that still sells this stuff. In my basket, I got a little bit of groceries from there, maybe a t-shirt or something, and then I got my Xbox or I got my PlayStation, and then I ring it all up and I go right out the door, and it's not like an obstacle course at all, right? This would have been around that time, and if I didn't get it now, I would have probably got it like towards the end of 2023 because that's when they were like really available, and I would have looked at Xbox and said like, I don't know if I want to get that right now because of the mixed messaging and stuff. The diehard is gonna be there no matter what. Everybody, I've heard of so many different ways to finesse Game Pass. It don't make no sense. I finesse it myself. I will admit it. I do. Maybe that's what. Maybe I'm part of the problem. Everybody's part of the problem. Probably so. But the thing is, how do you convince? Like, how do they convince you to buy it? How do they convince somebody who's never had it? There's no convincing at this point. It's just they've done nothing to increase the player count. It's just we'll buy the game, but even then, if they're so, because here's the other thing, and it will be my very last point, I promise. They're really, really pushing to be third party. Have we not been paying attention? Third party is the whole. Everybody in third party right now is firing everybody.
Yeah.
Is this what you're really pushing for? Because that's what third party is. Third party firing everybody. I don't understand. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like the first party is what gives the games some notoriety and stuff. Once they become third party, they lose their value to the players. Nobody even talks about them when they third party. And that's kind of what it seems like they're striving towards. I'm like, they're literally striving to lessen the value of their own product. And I don't think they realize it. But we can move on. There's not too many other topics here, but I do want to mention the Epic Games stuff because we are pretty much at that time. So I'll just mention that real quick. And I'm actually excited about Epic Games right now. I think they're bringing on a little bit of a better selection. So one of the games that they are bringing on was Death Gambit Afterlife. I don't know if you remember me kind of geeking out about this last week. This is one of those games that I was talking about before. A lot of the hack and slashing, side scrolling type of game. One of them that was on my list. They gave this away, so this is available right now until August 22nd. And so hop on that. That's a big game. Do not sleep on that game. The other game that they're giving away is World of Warships. And I believe this is like a starter pack that they're giving away for that. And then for for August 22nd to August 29th, one of the games they're giving away is called Gigantic Rampage Edition. Did I say that right? Gigantic? I don't know.
I don't have it open.
But yeah, Gigantic,
Gigantic.
Gigantic. What did I say, bro?
Gigantic.
It's late. It probably is Gigantic. Gigantic Rampage Edition. It's late. I'm sorry. And then here's the big one that's interesting. Depending on how big you might think this is.
Gigantic Rampage Edition.
Bro, it's late, bro. I've been up all day. Gigantic, man. I looked at the first three letters because I'm talking gig space and stuff. But yeah, Gigantic Rampage Edition. Cool game. Free is free. We all love free. And then they put a different game on there. Very interesting one. Yeah. This is the Callisto Protocol. Very controversial game. At one point, it was supposed to be one of the biggest, hottest games to come out. Has so much hype. Died overnight. And it ended up being like a game that people were saying was disappointing. It's like whatever about it. And it was given away at one point, I believe, on PlayStation if you have PlayStation Plus. I think this was on Game Pass as well. Maybe not. But it's 100% free to you now. And this is a good example of the perspective of the gamer that goes back to the topics with Xbox and stuff. How they'll give you a game here and there and they want you to lure you to their platform. It's like when you have situations like this, the bigger game eventually goes free at some point. From the gamer's perspective, they're just going to play whatever they wanted to play right now, and they'll wait and get to that eventually. But that doesn't mean they're going to move. And like, could you have convinced a PlayStation or Xbox player, convinced a PC player to go to PlayStation or Xbox for Callisto, and like it's now coming here? You know, well, it was multi-platform from the get go, but it's just I'm just trying to say like the big game will come to you eventually, but nobody's gonna jump out there and spend the big money. So Callisto is one of those games. Shout out to Epic Games because they are putting out games that are well known and games that are not well known. Because I still feel like Death Gambit is more of a hidden gem, a game that not a lot of people are going to know about. But this is back to back, and somebody like Game Pass, Xbox, you kind of have to compete with something like this. Because how do you convince the PC player to pay attention to Game Pass on PC over something like this where it's free? Right. You know? It's free. I do want to mention that because I kind of went straight to the games. Remember, you don't need a debit card or credit card to create a profile under Epic Games. You can create a profile without that and still claim all the games, and you can also use whatever gaming tag is available. You can use the same gaming tag from another platform. And if you don't have a PC, once you do get a PC and you log in, all of these games like the ones I mentioned and anything else that you've saved already will be right there waiting for you. And what's cool about the PC platform is you can have something like a handheld, and then you can have a regular PC, and your save data transfers back and forth, and you can pick up right where you left off from one platform, one subdivision of a platform, and another, you know, and just have some good old times. But my pick out of everything here is not Callisto. Is actually Death Gambit. Make sure you get that one, but go ahead and get Callisto as well. I will be playing this version of Callisto now that I have a really powerful PC. I'm not gonna play. I think I bought it on PlayStation. I think I bought it and then it was made free after I bought. I forgot, something like that. I did not buy it. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna buy it.
And then I heard the reviews and said, "I'll wait."
Yeah. But yeah, cool. I still think free is you can't complain, but like they're really giving you some nice samples here. Like it's almost like here's something that's like free from a cafeteria, and then here's something that's free that's like a sampler from Costco's or something. Like we want to try a nice product every now and then. So you get some good games. We've seen some really big games given away at some point. And then you know, there's the little stuff as well. Shout out to the PC platform. I'm coming back in a big way because of the PC platform.
Real quick, you also reminded me. And I completely forgot this. For those, speaking of free, Warframe, right? Free game that's been going strong since 2013, has officially added in cross-save. So you can, as long as you link your account to the Warframe thing, whatever platform you're playing on, you can take off where you left off.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. And shout out to Warframe for continuing, like they're constantly trying to innovate little things here and there with that one game that lasted a really long time.
It still over 10 years, man. Like,
you would think like Halo Infinite could learn from it a little bit, because Halo Infinite was trying to be 10 years. And they have their diehard, but they didn't really expand as much as they would have wanted to. I'm gonna quit picking on Xbox. I didn't mention them again, didn't I? I'm gonna stop. I just know this rumor will probably, the rumor I mentioned before, we'll be able to come back to it because we're going to actually talk about Gamescom at that point. And really with Gamescom, like I'm just honestly just wanting to see more games. Show me something dope, you know, and something that has a release date that's more around the corner and not 2 years around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, something that's coming out this fall. They should have something to show that's coming out this fall, because a lot of stuff is coming out this fall. But yeah, so yeah, shout out to Epic Games. We can move on from that. There is one other thing that I think just came to mind.
Okay.
So we mentioned Gamescom as a show that we're going to watch next week. I think there was a VR game show
Oh
that
yeah.
happened this morning that I didn't watch, and I'm sure you didn't
I ain't
watch. But I don't want to be like that, so I would like to put a note that we will probably mention it in passing next week,
for sure.
because that's not fair. And we want to be objective and not just bias. And gaming is gaming, and at some point in the future, I might get a headset. I that's like one of the last pieces of the puzzle of a type of game. There's two things out there that I don't have. I don't have a Playdate. Shout out to Playdate.
Yeah.
Which has a very unique way of doing their games, and then I don't have a VR headset, which is another unique way of playing video games. And
Played it,
so,
released a case that looks like a pizza. Somebody went crazy about it and wrote an article.
yeah, I think I know what you talk about too, because I think that case is like $20 or something. Like,
Yeah.
bro, this thing is like could fit in the palm of your hand. It's like a, it's like a White Castle burger, but they want $20
Yeah,
for
man.
it.
Palm pizza.
But yeah, so we'll keep it brief, but we'll mention that show as well. I do want to also give a shout out to the gaming shows in general, even though we'll probably have like 2 shows or whatever. I do think having shows like not bunched with a bunch of other shows is the way to go,
Oh yeah.
because it's like I could deal with a show every other week or something. It's only so much you can really show to somebody. It's like it's only so much money people gonna want to spend on games, but at least like it almost like a wrestling pay-per-view, like once a month is cool. Like
Yeah, when they
I
tried
think
to do that every other week thing, that was when it
yeah,
went bad.
it was almost
There's no quality,
every other hour at one point for that one week.
basically.
And so yeah, this is so much better, so I do appreciate that. And I think I don't have any more topics. You have one topic which I think is an interesting one that we could have some fun with. Still gaming related, but it's regarding a very big movie. Is it big? I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, a
Well,
movie that came out.
yeah, let's call it that.
I
So I
just
saw
think it's funny.
Borderlands.
I think it's
said
funny
last week
because
I would see
I
it.
remember. I just want to say real quick. I remember we said that people were saying it was bad, and you was like, "I'm not gonna say it until I see this." Then I think you sent me a message like, "Yeah, that was bad."
Yeah. So
But
here's
go
the thing.
ahead.
I am a person who even enjoys some of the bad movies or bad games, where I tend to try and not follow the internet, or
Yeah.
look up reviews, because I tend to enjoy stuff like, to give I guess our audience a whole thing. I heavily defended Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and I know I'm a DC fanboy and everything. So it's like, I enjoyed it. I got what I wanted out of it. Mindless, like fun. I don't need everything to be groundbreaking. Borderlands was bad. There's no other way to put it. It was bad. So, one, they plucked characters from the first and second one to fit the generic party group description. So you needed the soldier, good guy, right? So they chose Roland, the musclehead, idiot. So you have Krieg, the true powerful leader. So you have Lilith, the smart one, Tannis, and then the one who is like also they're like the one who wants to be the leader and is like the one everybody wants to root for, Tiny Tina, and then the comic relief, Claptrap. Right? Like everybody was like a category. And the issue was is they didn't follow the storyline of the game. Like they took liberties. So Tiny Tina's backstory is completely rewritten. The villain that they use is not an actual person from the game. They made their own person, right? So they did that. They changed a bunch of people's backstories. Everyone feels miscast, right? So Lilith is supposed to be about 20-something in the first game, and she's played by Kate Blanchett, who's like 55 years old. And Tannis is supposed to be like 30 something in the game, and she's played by 65-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I remember seeing that scratching my head. Like, why they throw so much money to these people?
I don't know. So apparently, I want to say Kate Blanchett. It could be Jamie Lee that said this. One of those two said it. That they signed on to the film in 2021 because of COVID. They said they wanted to get out of like COVID madness. They needed to get out of the house, and this was the movie that offered. So they just did it. Like, they didn't really care because the movie apparently was in like production since like 2015, and the only original name tied to it was like Kevin Hart. And then like they went through different directors, rewrites, reshoots, and a bunch of other stuff. And then 2021 is when they pulled in Kate Blanchett. Now, also an issue is apparently the movie was shot with rated R in mind, but it's PG-13. So they cut out all of like the gore. Certain sentences just kind of get cut off midway. Like, it's really weird. And you can tell they just had to chop it up and edit it. Part of that also issue, Borderlands is known for its Deadpool level humor and all the guns and blasting. They showed off 2 guns, and there wasn't really any like gore like going on, and the jokes were all tame. Like, this is one of the jokes. You can't shoot me, but I can shoot you. Pow, shot ya. Pow, shot ya. That's one of the jokes. Like that's where we're at for this. Like, it was bad. Now, another issue is that they have a bunch of Easter eggs where you had to have like played the games to understand, but they move so fast that they're all easy to miss. Because they'll just have random characters in there. And it's like, did you spot it? It was this person. And you're like, I didn't even tell. Like, I couldn't tell because it was just a random person. And like some of the locations were like Easter eggs. But again, they didn't follow the story. So it was like, what was the point of the Easter eggs? Now, another slight issue with this, I'm pretty sure most of the audience didn't understand. Like, the movie moves fast. It moves fast. This should have been like a 10-episode miniseries thing because you just don't care about any of these people. Right? But you're supposed to, and you just don't because you haven't had a lot of time with them. Like, literally, the muscle head, like, you establish who they are, like, for Kevin Hart as Roland. What happens is when you first introduce him, it's like, I'm here to save you. I'm your dad's, like, elitist soldier. That's not, now you're supposed to just take his word for it. That he's an elite soldier. We get no thing that proves it.
So I was gonna ask, like, how long is this movie?
Under 2 hours.
So it's still under 2 hours. Okay.
Yep. Now, another issue though, like I said, they didn't follow the storyline of the game. Yeah. But you need to have watched the game to understand stuff. So for example, there'll be like a group of like the Raiders, and one of them just has a different costume for no reason. And it's because in the game it was a boss, but in here he's just another henchman. But they put the outfit on him to be like, hey, remember this was a boss in the game? But they didn't really explain it. Even with their exposition dumps where people would just talk, a lot of it still was kind of like you should have played the game. But the theater was filled with old people. So like when I went, the like majority of the crowd was above 50 years old, right? And this is generation that ain't playing video games. So it was all people who went, oh, Kate Blanchett, Gina Gershon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black are in a film. I'll go see it.
Yeah, that's because that's what I think they were doing. It seemed like a lot of money went towards putting like celebrities in there. There's been a few movies that was like that in the past where you would look at it and be like, is this about the game or is it just everybody getting a nice paycheck and they just like overshadow it?
This felt like the old school bad video game times or like video game movie times. They even like little things like, so Gina Gershon, also in her like 60s, was Mad Moxie, who even though Mad Moxie is older, should be like 40 something, right? The one who like ran that bar, but they got Gina Gershon to do it, and then she had like keep it clean, so I guess Lady of the Night, like two of them with her, and one of the ones standing there looks like Mad Moxie, and it's like she should have been Mad Moxie. Jack Black's jokes didn't even land. He sounded weird as Claptrap. They should have just got the actual voice actor for Claptrap to just do it.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Like you know what's really interesting? I feel like all those extra people that did nobody like from the Matrix Revolutions or Resurrections or whatever it was called, like that's probably who should have been in this film, because they were a bunch of nobodies, and it like Keanu Reeves was a star over there, but with this, it's like everybody's the star. But the game takes a backseat in its own movie.
Yep.
Where if you had got a bunch of nobodies, like all these Gen Z people, you know, it would have fit more because they would have been in the age range, and the star would have been the video game. But I think to them, they wanted to sell it in general to all those people in the theater and stuff. It's not going to go past it, but yeah.
There's ways they could have wrote... like, I understand, I guess, not directly following the video game. Sometimes when I see certain video games that are about to be made into a movie, and it's like, I already played through the story, I don't need to see the story played out. Like, I know the story. So it is okay if there was some, like, liberties taken to me for this, but it felt like too many. And to the point where it's like, you used, like, it felt like they chose Tiny Tina because of the name Tiny Tina. Right? Like, or they chose, like, it felt like Lilith was the star, but it was like, we're going to use Roland because people recognize the name Roland. And we're going to take Creek from the second game because people recognize, there's a whole thing with Creek. He's the big muscle one from the second game. And they really, there's like, should have been some more interesting stuff for his backstory, because he wears the same mask as a lot of the enemies, but he's like not with them. They don't explain that at all. And it's just like, he's just on your side. Oh, he's on your side because he broke out of a jail. Roland was like, hey, big guy, you want to help me? That was it. And then they're a team. So it was again, things were like rushed. It was weird because like, Roland was the same height as Tiny Tina. But they were like walking, like it looked kind of weird. I don't know, it was just so much.
So what would you give it a rating out of 10, I guess?
2?
A 2. So it's just terrible.
2 out of 10. Yeah,
so it's the worst movie you've seen this year?
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like this is no. Madam Web was still the worst movie.
Okay.
So yeah, I would give this a 2, maybe 2.5. I feel like it's better as like, I got some friends over, we're doing stuff, and I'll throw this on in the background. But even then, sometimes there's probably better background movies, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess it was oddly placed too, because I feel like this film would have done a lot better if a game was coming out around the same time, or if this was coming out when the Tiny Tina movie or the Tiny Tina game was coming out.
What else doesn't help is the fact that again, Borderlands is supposed to have like kind of Deadpool level humor. Deadpool came out right before it, and this was a major step down.
Yeah, there was no way this was going to compete with that.
Yeah,
it was weird that. They should have came out with it probably a month later or a month before. Probably would have been the move. But yeah, it is what it is. What's really bad is I don't want to start seeing a bunch of movie tie-ins to games, right? And people start saying this movie is so bad I don't even want to play the game. And then it hurts gaming even more.
Hopefully, I don't think it'll go there, especially because there's already been like 4 of them come out. 4 or 5. So, hopefully that. But, you know what would have helped too? And it's such a minor thing that I think would have helped. It should have been rated R. I think seeing some more action, more guns, and it didn't even need to be that crude of humor,
Mm-hmm.
but like a little bit more would have brought that Borderlands spirit. And I just think some of the story choices was bad. And this is even coming from like I know most people don't like the way the first one ended.
Yeah.
And we didn't like the first game, but there was ways I think they could have done it. Tiny Tina didn't even feel like Tiny Tina. Like she's supposed to be a little psycho, and this one was a lot more tame. I don't know, just everyone felt tame. Felt like cosplay.
Yeah. I got one controversial ish take, and
Okay.
then I think we could probably cut out. I think is this really gonna be controversial? It might be. This might be the one time where I think we gotta check trophies and gamer lists, gamer scores, before we let people just act certain roles. Like you know how before we were like people be wanting to check each other's gamer scores, check each other's like trophy lists or something, and they don't want to have a conversation with each other over the game.
Yep.
I to me that was like a kind of extreme, but I can get it to an extent. But I think we really might have to gatekeep when it comes to the movie roles and stuff. It's like it would have definitely helped Resident Evil or something. Like don't even try to attempt. I say that because this is on the screen, and I was thinking about their movie tie-ins and stuff. Like if Resident Evil, if we check to see like if people play the games, it's
Yeah.
like they would have more respect for the
And you know what?
franchise.
I don't necessarily need the actors to
Yeah,
have played it. I need the writers to have played it.
yeah,
That's the issue. And I've been seeing things coming out where there's another video game adaptation coming out where, or it might be like a movie thing or something that's coming out. I can't remember what it is, but like the writers are almost instructed not to look at the source material. And it was like, because they don't want to like just redo the source material. They want to do their own thing. And it's like, well, then don't
yeah.
use the IP.
Because I
Like
think
make
that might
something
have been
inspired
Halo.
by.
I think that
Might have
might have
been,
been the
yeah.
Halo show, and now Halo show is canceled, right? And
Yep.
it's like, yo, like Halo is one of those games where it's like, yo, you could definitely look at like somebody's gamer score on this. Like, don't just put anybody in here
Right.
because we don't have respect for gaming. Needs to have respect from the industries.
Yes.
The people with the money to throw around needs to have a certain respect for the games. Almost as if you was like looking at like an Olympics or a title belt or something. Is that serious to
when
the
it comes
buyer?
to a when it comes to a video game adaptation, I feel like I kind of want the writers to have the same enthusiasm as Ryan Reynolds wanting Deadpool, right? Or
Yeah,
Henry Cavill, like the way he felt about The Witcher. So much to the point where he left it because of that, right? He shouldn't have been the only fan of The Witcher on the set of The Witcher. That's a problem. Like the writers should have been. In fact, it should have been the like actor leaving because he wants to take liberties, and the writers are like, no, because the game goes like this. It should have been the other way, not the actor leaving because the writers don't want to follow the IP. And again, it's like at this point, make something inspired by, right? A Borderlands ish film. It's okay if it's similar, but don't just pull the IP for name recognition and then just crap all over it. Like,
yeah,
it's silly to me.
yeah. I guess it is what it is. We need to have some more prestige to gaming in general.
Yes.
Because it's not just for the movies. I think even with acquisitions and all this other stuff, show the IP and the franchises respect. And
Beautiful.
like I would want Xbox to really covet their brand the way Nintendo does. And I would want like some of these other companies that call themselves being third party to really protect like Borderlands or Gearbox should really protect their movie the way the people who make Godzilla could like how they are like really like you can't put this out if it's not at a certain level. You know what I mean? Like there was some videos that were like that, or some movies where they had it where they wanted to screen it first, and if they didn't like it, it wouldn't come out. And I think a lot of franchises should have that type of take, because it's very crucial in the long run for adding on, new people. You want to add on, every brand should always be one to expand its player base or its viewer base, but at what cost? Like don't go for the little money and jeopardize the big money. Hopefully that's not the case for Borderlands. I look forward to playing the next one. I think we're going to play Tiny Tina at some point, probably either at the start of next year or maybe at the end of this year.
Yep.
And so that's not going to stop anything. And then after that, I think Borderlands 4 will come out at some point. Borderlands 4 should overshadow this. No different than how a Resident Evil game will overshadow a Resident Evil movie or TV show.
Oh, for sure. Although the creator of Borderlands is throwing a hissy fit.
Yeah.
So he's out here just like, the game or the movie's good and y'all are just hating. Like, he's having an attitude. So.
We gonna cut out of here before this big boss fight, but I'm gonna put this footage first next week, so we're not gonna miss it. And other than that, any last words, man? We can get out of here.
Nah, we can leave. Stay hydrated.
Like, comment, share, subscribe. I am more back to 100% compared to last week. I was coughing up a storm, especially when we were gaming. So I'm a lot better now. So by the time we hit next week, I'm pretty much going to be 100%. But I'm going to start actually recording more content again, to get the videos going. So expect me actually still to do more talking bits first. Then you'll get some production quality later. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week. Peace.